Wow, folks, I wish I would have hit record like 10 minutes ago because I just heard some really cool stories from Bob, but we'll save that for another day. And glad the sun's coming out. Beautiful day out here today in Southern Colorado. I'm hoping it's just as nice in Florida, probably about 30 or 40 degrees nicer actually in Southern Florida. How are you doing today, Bob? Great to see you, man.
Really great. Thanks. Good to see you, Rex. It is a beautiful day today. This is 80 and one of those days where it's 80 degrees, but not too much humidity. So you can go walking outside on the beach and, you don't get super hot. And then this weekend, a little cold front's coming down where it's going to be like 75 and no humidity. So it's going to be beautiful. We're all recovering from the hurricanes. And the strangest thing happened. This is the first time we've really seen this with a hurricane. It brought all the sand up from the beaches into the towns. And it was like in certain, there are these little peninsulas that jut out into the ocean, and they got completely covered in sand. The sand came in on the beach side and it got pushed all the way to the other end of the peninsula, and people's cars were buried that were 300 yards away from the beach. And it took in a couple of cases 2 weeks to clear the street just so somebody could drive down the street. And it was like being in a tunnel. The sand was 10 feet deep in certain parts. And now they've gotten most of it, most of the roads cleared, but there's still piles of sand everywhere. And some of them are 30 feet high. And they're slowly getting the sand back out onto the beaches and reconstituting the beaches. But it was the weirdest thing, and plus you had a really bad storm surge, a 9-foot storm surge. And in my county, there were 28,000 homes that got destroyed or significantly damaged, where you have to rip out all the floors and the walls and rebuild the whole interior of the house. So it was the two worst hurricanes in the last 100 years happened within 10 days of each other.
Oh, so I was just because I read some reports about news insurance saying that they were like a lot of insurance claims were being canceled for very ridiculous reasons. Like one person had a 25-inch step or something along those lines, and that didn't meet requirements, even though they had been paying for insurance for 10 years. They said, no, we're not going to cover you.
Yeah. Yep. That happened to a lot of people. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of insurance issues. My nephew's a specialist in helping people with insurance claims.
Oh, okay. Well, I
He's
hope he's
really
one of the
nice.
nice ones.
Yeah. He is. He's my nephew,
He's
so
got to be nice.
he
Yeah.
has to be.
Sorry, I brought it up. 28,000 homes. That's insane.
Yeah, that's just in our county, and that doesn't even count Tampa. That's just Pinellas County. Tampa is another whole story. There's more people over there, and they got hit too. And then all up and down the coast, from Naples up to the Big Bend, all got damaged from the hurricanes.
Let me ask you a question. I know this is a little bit off subject, but you're very knowledgeable, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. So recently, have you heard of Escoda? Do you know where Escoda, Michigan is?
No.
It's a little blip on the map, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Escoda, Michigan. It's off of Lake Huron. It's
Mm-hmm.
further north in Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
so it's closer to Canada. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's the entire township itself is about 7,000 people, but the town itself of Escoda is less than 1,000 people. I think they said 920 as the 2020 census, if I'm not mistaken. But there's a decommissioned Air Force base out there that's now a airport, and it's called the Escoda Wirth Airport. It's really nice. It's a beautiful airport. They don't do passenger flights out of there, really. They're mainly cargo and stuff. But recently, in a township meeting, and I listened to this gentleman. He said, "Oh, by the way, folks, FEMA's going to be coming into town. They're going to be rolling in 350 semi trucks with trailers and supplies. So if you see a bunch of trucks, don't worry about it." And so somebody heard that, and I think her name was Needy Homesteader, and she posted a video on YouTube. It got hundreds of thousands of views and caused a big stir in the community. I even did a podcast on it, and I thought this is very interesting, and I just asked questions because I don't know what it is or what's going on. So then the next day, the Detroit Press comes out and says, no, they're not going out there. They looked at that place as a possibility to go out there, but they decide, that they still haven't decided yet. And then so people were already confused about what was going on. So they drove out there to go see if FEMA trucks were out there. There's no FEMA trucks out there right now. But my friend Mark that went out there, he talked to a security guard and he said, "Hey, I want to see all the FEMA trucks. Where's all the FEMA trucks at?" And the security guard said, "Well, they're not here yet, but they're coming." So he might have got it wrong. He might have misinformation, the security guard or whatever, is totally a possibility. But don't you find that kind of odd if it's true that FEMA would send 350 semi trucks full of supplies to a airport in the middle of nowhere, Michigan, especially after what took place in Florida and South Carolina, and then they say that they haven't decided if they're going out there yet. But then some people that are a part of the town hall said that they are. It just seems kind of bizarre to me.
Yeah.
Is it to you?
Yeah, because it can't be in response to what's to what just happened with the hurricanes.
Right.
That was from North Carolina down to Florida, and Michigan is a 2-day drive away. So that I don't know why they would use that as a staging area, unless they're anticipating something later in the year
Right.
that they have planned out. You know,
Right. It's just in an area that's so remote as far as population center goes. I mean, it's 4 hours, almost 4 hours away from Detroit. It's 4 hours north of Detroit,
right?
but it is at an airport that if they needed to load up a bunch of supplies and get those airplanes into the
Yeah.
air really fast, then it would be in my opinion, a great location for that. I
Hmm.
just find it very odd. Like even if they don't go to that place, why are they looking for a place that's going to hold that much supplies? And I think it's good to be prepared. I'm not saying anything negative about it, and I'm just curious, like why would seems like a pretty big deal. So I thought I'd ask you that question to see what you thought about that.
That last part you said seems like the most likely thing. They need a staging area with cargo planes where they can stage stuff that they're going to fly out later. And it could be that, based on what happened in North Carolina, particularly, that they now need a new strategy to deliver supplies because they hadn't really experienced a situation where all the roads got washed out like they did with Route 40, and so they couldn't get supplies to those people. So maybe they have a new aerial delivery plan where that's the staging area, and then they'll fly stuff to another airport, whether it's on the West Coast, and that's kind of like a midway point between the East and West Coast. And then they're going to fly the stuff out, get it onto helicopters to drop it to the zones. That's the way I would do it. And Michigan, is a halfway point, kind of. And since they have an ex military airport there, it's probably got extra long runways and that type of thing.
Yeah,
But
no, great point. Thank you. I was just thinking to
yeah,
myself, that would make the most sense also about being that strategic location and being able to fly at multiple locations also, not have a lot of people there. You don't have passenger flights coming in. It's basically cargo flights and such. So commercial flights. Yeah, cool. Okay.
and they could commission the cargo planes there, even if they're private. They could pay for them to be used to deliver supplies.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe it's a good thing.
Maybe, maybe.
$1 million.
Imagine that.
Oh man, I know we do a lot of shows where we talk about the features and benefits of like the Gladiator Barley, the Boon Boost, and the Myotrol, but a lot of people don't really know the story behind it and what it is and how it works. So I'm going to give you the mic and let you explain that in better detail because I mean, you know this stuff really well. What you've been doing for a few years.
Yeah, so this is 13 years now with this company, Boomers Forever Young, which I founded with my business partner Larry Dodlin. And um, Larry was a person that needed help with a computer project here in St. Petersburg about 15 years ago, and I came to help him at his office. He owned rental properties, beachfront rental properties, and I came to help him with a computer system that would be better for renting out those properties and tracking things. So that's how I met him. And when I met him, he was 65 years old, and he was what the Brits call crumbly. He was 65 going on 85. He was very debilitated, and he'd been poisoned actually in a paint shop where some really strong turpentine or something like that had spilled, and he inhaled it and ended up getting paralyzed and hospitalized, and it aged him quite a bit. So he was much older than his chronological age. And so I, having been a holistic health therapist for many years prior to that, I asked him if he wanted help with his health as well. And that's what I did. I started helping him with the right nutrition and the right way to detoxify the stuff out of his body with things like zeolite and the like. And he got better really fast, and he started releasing weight, and he lost about 50 pounds of fat, and he got really strong. He tripled his strength working out at the gym. And at some point, he asked me, he goes, "Why don't we start a company together where we can formulate a whole package for people that would help them the way you helped me, but we could help many hundreds of people if we could do that." And neither one of us had actually run a nutrition company before, but we'd been in business, so we decided to start it, and we got assistance from consultants and stuff that had done this before, and we started Boomers Forever Young, and we started out giving people the same things that I had given Larry. And then one day there was a really great fortuitous coincidence where a friend of mine had a friend who was up in Canada working on the polluted water in the tar sands. And he met this guy named Ken, who was also there working on polluted water, but also had this special barley he was growing in his organic farms. And so this man, Alan, who's no longer with us, he called me and said, "Hey, I'm friends with this guy, and I just met Ken, and I thought you might want to get in touch with him and ask him about, his barley." And so I got a hold of Ken, and it turns out Ken was familiar with my father. My father wrote books on plant science. He was a professor at Cornell University, and Ken had read my father's books. And so he sent us some of his barley, and it turned out that it was really like a miracle. What he'd been able to do was sprout ancient seeds, and that were way before the time when people started crossbreeding barley plants in order to make them germinate more easily. But when they did that, they crossbred all the nutritional value out of it. And Ken was able to get ancient seeds that were still packed with nutrients and sprout them. And it took him many years, but he was able to build up his seed supply year after year until he could plant acres of it. And Ken is a genius, and he also is really good at receiving information that he gets from other dimensions. And he figured out how to sprout these seeds all at the same time. So he can take 1 million seeds and bring them into his processing plant, and within 2 minutes, every seed will sprout at the same time. And it's kind of eerie to think about, but it really happens. And that's important because the seeds then are sprouting, and they're all moving along at the same pace. You don't want a sprout that sprouted today and a different one tomorrow, because the enzyme profile changes day over day over day while the sprout is sprouting. And so then he knows where the peak of human nutrition is in those sprouts, and he has a trade secret he uses to stop the sprouts from sprouting right at that point. And then he has another trade secret that he stabilizes all the nutrients and increases the half-life by years like from 10 minutes to 5 years. And then now he has this highly potent stabilized sprout that's like nothing else in the world. It's like nothing else people had seen for hundreds of years. And he then grinds up those sprouts into a fine powder with an old-fashioned stone grinding wheel and puts it into jars for us. And we've now had, I don't know, about 20,000 people that have used this product. And so what it does is it's really strong. You have to get a little tiny scoop that comes with it with a set of instructions, and you have to ease into it carefully because it detoxifies your body really powerfully and really fast. And you don't want your kidneys and liver to freak out from too much detox. And so you ease into it, you detox, and it also totally cleanses and restores your small intestines because they deteriorate as you age and you can't absorb nutrients that well, but they get totally revitalized using the barley. And so now you can absorb nutrients like you were 20 years old again. And so now when people take this barley, it cleanses their whole body and it cleanses, including their intestines, and it gives you a particular antioxidant that is for reducing your inflammation. Most people are aging primarily because of oxidative stress. You're like a log in the fire that's burning itself up over time. We're aerobic life. And the molecules that are creating this burn are constantly being neutralized by antioxidants that our body produces. But the older we get, the less we produce. And so we age faster as we get older. And so what this barley does is it gives you that compound. It's called superoxide dismutase in really large amounts. So now all of a sudden your rate of burn goes to almost zero. And so you stop aging from oxidative stress. And the other thing that happens is it's filled with essential amino acids, which are the building blocks of protein. And your entire body is basically protein that's been made from your genetic code. And in order to make it, you have to have amino acids, and they have to be glued together and stabilized with metabolic enzymes, which are also in the barley powder. And so now all of a sudden you take this product and your body becomes a protein making machine. And we make proteins by the hundreds of millions every day, but now it makes it really easy. And so people start to gain strength and endurance from using what we call Gladiator Barley. And so people can use it that are going through chemotherapy and they're dying from muscle wasting. You can give them the Gladiator Barley and they'll gain their muscle weight back. And same thing with people that have to go on a ventilator, like happened back in 2020 and 2021. You lose 2 pounds of muscle a day every day you're on a ventilator. So a lot of people died from muscle wasting when they were on vents. And we were able to help people that came off of the vent. We gave them the barley and quickly they gained all their muscle back. And so this is what the barley does for people. But in addition to that, because it helps with the absorption of nutrients, anything else that you take that's a nutrient, whether it's food or supplements, gets absorbed really quickly and easily because you've restored your small intestine. And so we knew as soon as we discovered about that absorption aspect, we're like, oh man, now we can make it affordable to give people comprehensive nutrition, which we could engineer. And so we engineered Boomer Boost, which has vitamins, minerals, more amino acids, specialty nutrients like coenzyme Q10 and trimethylglycine and glutathione and all the main things that we know the human body needs to thrive was created in a combo of 66 different nutrients. And we knew that at the rate of absorption with the average person who's 50 years old, they would probably need to have about a half a cup of that every day dissolved in a couple of quarts of water, and they'd never be able to really gag it down. And so, but because of the increased absorption from the barley, we were able to just put it into a 1 pound jar, and people just need to take 1 scoop, which is a couple tablespoons each day. They absorb all of it, and now they get the benefit of all that nutrition at a price that is between 1/5 and 1/10 of what it would cost for you to get that amount of nutrition into your cells. So it was a major breakthrough in the world of nutraceutical science, because for the first time, anybody could now afford to be super nourished with nutritional supplements. And so we've now been doing that for 13 years, and it works with so many different things. We've had people that have had heart attacks that were able to restore their heart muscle. We've had people on the heart transplant list, which got off of the heart transplant list using these products. And just in general, as people age, they get old and crumbly like Larry was. But they begin to de-age taking these products and then go into this kind of state of suspended animation where instead of getting weaker each year, you're actually getting stronger. And so it was a big change. It flipped the formula where most people were burning themselves up faster than they could repair themselves. But now with these products, you can actually repair yourself faster than you're burning yourself. And so we don't know how long people are going to live. This is the whole thing with the new science of anti-aging. It's new, and it's only been used for about 10 years. And so no one's really sure how long people like you and I are going to live, Rex, taking these products. If you look at our blood work, like the life insurance company did for Larry when he was in his early 70s, they looked at his blood work for his life insurance, and they called his agent and said, "Hey, thank you. This is the healthiest person you've ever sent us, but it looks like a mistake on the application. It says he was born in 1945, but it looks like to us like he's only around 33 years old." And Stewart said to him, "No, that's correct. Larry is the co-founder of the Boomers Forever Young nutrition company, and that really is his blood." And so that's what happens to people. Your biological age reverts back, and in Larry's case, it reverted back about 40 years. And he'll be 79 now at Christmas time and still has that same blood work. And they did a scan of his carotid arteries, Rex, which get clogged, as you get older. And they were so amazed. The doctors were calling in everybody from the clinic to come and look at this Doppler, this readout. They're like, "Look at this. This man's in his 70s, and look at his arteries. They're perfectly clear like a newborn child." And so people might ask, well, what's it going to do for me? Why would I want to take it? Well, number one, if you want to age more slowly, that's exactly what will happen. And because you don't get adult onset type of diseases. So people, as they age, they get heart disease, they have strokes, they get cancer, and these are all correlated with age. In all of these diseases, the main contributing factor is age. Same thing with diabetes, same thing with Alzheimer's disease. It's all correlated with your age. And age meaning what condition are your cells in, and what condition are the tissues of your body in. And as they deteriorate, you deteriorate along with it. And sometime around the age of 85, which is the median maximum lifespan, is when people will die from literally burning themselves up over time. And you can measure your rate of burn, Rex, with a blood test called C-reactive protein. And you can tell how fast your body is burning itself up from that test. And the average person, the number is 3 on the scale, right? And the average person that uses our products is 10 times lower than that. It's 0.2 to 0.3, but always below 0.5, which is the point at which you are rebuilding yourself faster than you're burning yourself. And so it's empirical evidence from blood work that people that use these products are actually aging almost imperceptibly. And so the other thing is, if you know people, if you're a young person and you don't have any problems, great. If you want to prevent them, they usually start kicking in at age 35 or 40 is when your body begins to change, and you start aging much faster when you get to be 35 years old. And so at around 40, 50 years old, people start to experience stiffness and pain. Maybe they need their first medication. And by the time, they get to be 70 years old, they're on an average of 10 to 15 medications, and they're just not feeling very well. And if you want to continue to be able to be vibrant and healthy every decade as you age, all the way up to 90, 100 years old, then you have to do something like this. Right? And if you have people that you know that are sick or are elderly and need help from having arthritis or having problems with their heart or have had a stroke and are not recovering very well, we have everything that people like that need in order to get restored. And you can see it, Rex, from our website. There's over 3,000 testimonials on our website with an average of 4.7 out of 5 stars. And we have people that pick up the phone. Rex, actually, right here in our county is where the people are that answer the phone. So you're not getting, customer service from overseas. You're getting it right here in the US. The people have been with me for many, many years. And anybody that has questions or needs help getting just the right thing can give us a call. And the reason you'd want to call now, Rex, is right now is the time of year where we're doing our biggest sale. So you see this up to 30% off the barley and the boost and dynamic combo. So the dynamic combo is the boost and barley together. It's already discounted because you're buying it in a pack. Now we're discounting it another 20% for the season. And as people put it onto their subscribe and save, which you're showing right now, you get another 10% off. So in a sense, right now is a time to get about 35% off of these products. And they're already priced very fairly, Rex. We haven't had to raise the price much over the years because we kept buying more and more of it. And so as the prices would go up from our supplier, we were able to keep the prices pretty stable. This past year, we didn't have to raise our prices at all. And so this is by far the best time to try these products for yourself, and the best time to help anybody that you know who is older or has any type of an illness that they need to be really strong to survive. Then we'll be more than happy to help you out. And just call the 800 number, tell them that you saw us on Rex, and we'll help you out.
Man, I love reading the reviews because they almost sound like you read reviews and you're like, seriously? And I mean, it's that good. The reviews are awesome, but I take the stuff and I know how good the stuff is. As I mentioned before, when I take the Boomer Boost and the Gladiator Barley, like I immediately feel like a soothing sensation, but also I'll take a scoop of the Boomer and the Gladiator Barley. I mix it up. I just, in a little bit of water, I take a shot of it. I know a lot of people like to sip it, which is good too, but I just like to take a quick shot. And then I hit the elliptical. I'll start working out. And I have given like friends and family the Boomer Boost. What they say is like what you read in the testimonials. I told you the story about the neighbor that I had a few years ago where she's dealing with MS, and I went out and gave her just the Gladiator Barley. I didn't even have the Boomer Boost. I gave her the Gladiator Barley. A week later, she comes out as Chris and I are taking out the garbage, and she's like, "What the heck is in that stuff?" So anyway, I'm thankful. And the Myotrol, I know that you mentioned this a little bit last week. They can get, are there discounts on the Myotrol if they do auto ship?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Yeah. Not the 20% is not on that one. That's a brand new product that we're still buying small amounts of, so it's more expensive. And it's because it's a brand new product. It's a brand new invention from a man in California that was working on it for 6 years using supercomputers and different techniques. And he was actually able to go from a concept all the way to a finished product that's in a gel cap over a 6-year period. And it's only been out for about 5 months. But we've already had a couple thousand people that have used it. And the testimonials on that are just wild. And we got one a couple days ago, a guy in his 60s went out to do his yard work. And after 2 hours, he was all done. He mowed the lawn, did the edging, worked in his garden. His wife came out and said, "Oh my God, you're all done?" He goes, "That normally takes you 2 days." And he's like, "Yeah, it's that Myotrol I added on to my barley and Boomer Boost, and I'm all done." And she said, "What are you going to do the rest of the day?" And he's like, "I'm going for a bike ride." He went for a 5-mile bike ride. This and that's a very typical testimonial. We have testimonials from women in their 80s that, were homebound, able to get up and about. And one lady went back to work on her farm. Yeah.
Mm.
So really what it is, Rex, the reason for these breakthroughs, and I know they sound too good to be true. That's why you have to read these testimonials, right? They're verified testimonials. And call our phone number and just talk to, Lucy or Stephanie, and just get a sense of who we are. But the reason this all happened is because of scientific breakthroughs, right? People say, well, I never heard any of this. Well, guess what? How many people knew, Eric Kurtz, this genius who holds 40 patents, was working on a product that could stimulate your genes to behave as if you were 20 years old again, even if you're in your 80s. Nobody knew he was working on that project. He was doing it in secret, right? And he only commissioned us. We're the only distributor for it in the world. And he commissioned our company, 5 months ago, to be his new business associate to bring this out to the world. And so that's why most people don't know that they have a code. The entire human genome is now in a computer software program, and they're able to interject the chemical formulas of polyphenols, plant extracts, into this computer system, and it'll tell you which gene is activated by which plant molecule. And then somebody like Eric knows how to change the solubility of the compound. He knows how to purify it and concentrate it so that when you take these pills, you're getting a very large amount of the activator that goes right into your nucleus and right into the nucleus of your mitochondria and activates the genes that have gone dormant over the years. And they start expressing themselves as if they were much younger. It's a true fountain of youth. And when people add those pills in with their Boomer Boost and Barley, it's like, for me, Rex, the other day, we got a delivery, 12 pallets of products from Canada that came in boxes. And it was me and one other guy that works with me, we unloaded it and put it into our storage areas. It took us 5 hours to do. And at the end, the guy who's younger than me goes, "Bob, that was pretty amazing. You worked for 5 hours straight without stopping even to get a drink of water." And I was like, "Yeah, I think it was because the boxes were lighter this year. That made a big difference." He goes, "Those boxes weren't lighter." He goes, "They were the same boxes that came last year." I was like, "Oh, well, I was able to lift 2 at a time this year instead of normally lifting 1 at a time. Probably would have taken us 10 hours the year before, And so he was like, "No, those are the exact same boxes." And so what happens is, which you would never really expect. So if someone gets to be close to 70 years old, like me, you don't expect to all of a sudden start to get much, much stronger, right? No matter what you do. People can go work out at the gym, but they're not going to double their strength when they're 70 years old, right? But guess what? Now you do. Now you do. You take Myotrol pills and some Gladiator Barley, and you can double your strength even you're 90 years old. And you can be stronger than you were when you were 20. And I can lift more weight now than when I was a 20-year-old athlete. But without these scientific breakthroughs that people like Ken and Eric and others have made recently, using supercomputers and other technologies and literally spiritual interventions in their prayers, they were able to create a whole new realm of things you can put in your mouth that totally change the way your body functions. And 10 years ago, none of this was possible. And now it is. And here it is, almost 2025. I'm here to tell you, it's real. It's very real. There is a fountain of youth that's now available for people. Ponce de Leon didn't discover it in Florida, but the only place in the world you can buy it is in Florida. We're in St. Petersburg, Florida, and you can't buy Myotrol or Gladiator Barley anyplace else in the world. Right, but you can get it from us, and you can come visit us too. We're at 5401 Central Avenue, and we just had, when I pulled up to work today, there was a guy just leaving that had stopped by our site to pick up his products. It's not a storefront where you come and shop, but we do all our fulfillment here ourselves. We do all the mailings ourselves, and people do stop by for consultations to talk about what's going on with their life and their health, and we advise them right here in the building. There's no charge for any phone consultation or any in-person consultation. And our business is just simply helping people get these products. And we look forward to anybody that wants to call and stop by if you're coming on vacation. You might want to wait another month until they get all the hotels back up and running. They got buried in sand. But if you're coming down to Tampa, St. Pete area, or Sarasota or Clearwater, you're welcome to come by and visit. Call ahead to the 800 number, and I'll make sure I'm here to meet up with you.
Right on, Bob. I appreciate that. And thank you for taking time out of your schedule to spend it here with us. I really appreciate you shared some invaluable knowledge with us over the past couple of years. And I've just read so many emails and comments that people have thanked you. And I want to thank you, and keep being the change the world needs to see, man.
Thanks for having me on. It was a great pleasure.
Right on. Thanks, everybody. Now, I'm going to leave the link in the video description box, folks, and I'll also pin it in the comment section. So make sure to click that link specific to get the most discounts, and that way Bob knows how you heard about him, and you can also give them a call and keep being the change.